Welcome to the Authentic Change Podcast. I'm Mike Horne, your host, and this podcast is for leaders and coaches who need and want fresh perspectives on what it means to live and to lead authentically. You're a leader who wants to make a difference, but sometimes you feel stuck. You know there's more to life and to leadership than what you're currently experiencing. It can be tough to figure out how to grow as a leader. You might be reading all the blogs and books, but it still feels like you're not making progress. You might even be feeling like you're doing everything wrong. On Authentic Change with Mike Horne, we interview experts who share their insights on how to live and lead authentically. Our guests are trendsetters in building great leaders, teams, and organizations. We provide fresh perspectives on what it means to live with purpose and authenticity. Welcome to this episode of the Authentic Change Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of Authentic Change with Mike Horne. We're trying something a little bit different today on the podcast, and that is a solo presentation by none other than your host, Mike Horne. And I'm excited to do this episode. We're going to do 3 of them this season. It's in part because of I hope to reach you more directly on some topics that are of interest to you and of interest to me. And today's episode is of particular interest because we're going to be discussing how we overcome our saboteurs and how we cultivate the sage within based on the work by Shirzad Chamine. And I'm doubly excited because I am or will be by the time this airs, a certified positive intelligence coach, a PQ coach. So that makes it particularly exciting for me as I launch an inaugural episode of a Mike Horne solo on topics of interest to everyone, I hope, in our audience. And I'll, in addition to discussing Shirzad Chamine's work on PQ or positive intelligence, I'll do some compare and contrast with Bob Keegan and Lisa Leahy's work on immunity to change, since it's another area where I studied and have certifications. So again, welcome to this episode of Authentic Change. And let's dive now into the world of positive psychology with a book that's influencing me and my thinking, Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Chamine. Chamine's work provides a fresh perspective on overcoming our inner obstacles, an aspect we often sideline when discussing self-improvement. He introduces us to the concept of saboteurs, internal enemies that generate negativity and hinder our growth. Through positive intelligence, though, we explore methods to identify these agents or these forces that work against us, our saboteurs, and strategies to challenge them. I find the book Positive Intelligence to be a powerful tool for anyone longing for personal transformation and to establish a healthier relationship with their mind. Some of the examples that Chamine describes in the book are earth-shattering, but let's take a further look into this work. His concept is nothing short of revolutionary. He argues that our mental saboteurs or our negative thought patterns can be tamed by developing positive intelligence. And he contends that by boosting our positive intelligence quotient, or PQ, positive intelligence quotient, it can lead to remarkable improvements in both professional success and personal fulfillment. Maybe this is an example of it, me doing a podcast on this topic. He highlights the 10 saboteurs that affect our thinking in the book, such as the judge, the controller, and the victim, to name the few. And then these saboteurs, he suggests, limit our potential and they cloud our ability to respond effectively to challenges. But it just doesn't leave us hanging by identifying the saboteurs, thank goodness. He provides practical techniques on how to conquer them, which involve developing and strengthening our sage mental muscles. And if you go through the book, you'll learn a number of techniques that are designed to stimulate our neural pathways to produce change. And I think it is one of the most intriguing aspects of the book is this blend of neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and performance science that's presented in a really accessible and practical manner. And perhaps that's why I engaged with it so easily. But it's certainly a toolkit for anyone seeking to cultivate a more positive and resilient mindset. It's not just a book when you think about positive intelligence. Rather, it's a roadmap to self-awareness and authentic change. And aren't those two things that we talk a lot about, that we seek in our leaders, and that we want as consultants to be self-aware and to be authentic? So if you're on a journey of change or self-improvement or personal growth, or you need a coach that brings this to the table, this is the time to call me, to reach out. Let's connect on these ideas. Let's schedule strategy calls to see how this might be relevant and useful. Because I'm going to give you some examples of how I think the principles outlined in positive intelligence can significantly enrich your coaching relationship. One is that I can now introduce my coaching clients to the concept of mental saboteurs and help them identify their predominant saboteurs. And then we can work together to understand how these saboteurs obstruct professional growth and personal happiness. And again, this topic of happiness, it's really about congruency, I think. And that is about integrity and authenticity. That when I'm incongruent, I'm in a flow. I have alignment between my thoughts, words, and actions. So we can work together to understand how saboteurs obstruct this personal happiness, this congruency. And we'll do it with some practical techniques, as suggested by Chamine, to conquer negative thought patterns. It might be something about rubbing your two fingers together. It might be about where you focus your gaze. It might be around paying attention to your breathing. And the other thing that I can do in a coaching relationship now is to really help clients to develop their SAGE perspective, to foster empathy, creativity, an exploratory mindset that encourages a more positive response to challenges, enhances, I think, resilience, enhances performance, and particularly in these very demanding executive roles and leadership roles that my clients face and our clients face. And I think then it's this unique blend of bringing neuroscience, cognitive psychology, and performance work, the aspects of Shamine's work, to inform my coaching techniques, to allow me to provide a more grounded and effective, and what I think might be a more efficient service for some, not only providing a novel approach for clients, but also contributing to my ongoing professional development as an executive coach. So I think this is just that this is going to prove a valuable resource in my toolkit, a valuable resource to my clients, enabling me to help facilitate authentic leadership, authentic change, and promote a more positive and resilient mindset among my clients. And who isn't desirous of that, this positive and resilient mindset? Now, for those of you who are HR leaders in the audience, I want to give you a couple ways that you might think about Shirzad Chamine's positive intelligence work and how it can be a powerful asset in your leadership, team development, and organizational culture. I mean, here's one way. You could use the book's framework to understand the various saboteurs that might be at play within your organization, how they're affecting communication, teamwork, and productivity. And maybe by identifying these patterns, you can provide targeted training and interventions to help employees overcome these mental roadblocks. It's a novel approach, but here's another suggestion. You put it into the company's leadership development programs, this positive intelligence, to help managers and leaders develop their SAGE perspective, fostering a culture of empathy, creativity, resilience, and using the app that I have, the proprietary app. This is a very nice way that we can do with a team, and we can add an app to support our work on positive intelligence. I think it'd be very helpful for a group that wants to accelerate its time to team. and team performance. And again, let me just, just as I thought about it in my coaching practice, this blend of neuroscience and performance science and cognitive psychology is another way to inform employee well-being, so that by understanding the science behind the concepts that Chamine presents, an HR leader can implement strategies that really foster and support mental health and foster a more positive and resilient workforce. And you could even incorporate it into your conflict resolution strategies by helping individuals understand their saboteurs and develop the SAGE mindset. Perhaps they can resolve conflicts more constructively, and relationships within teams can be strengthened. So all in all, I think, if I'm thinking about this for HR leaders, it's really a comprehensive guide for those who are seeking to create a more positive, a more productive, and resilient organizational culture. Now, at the beginning of this podcast today, I stated that I'd, offer some comparison or some contrast with the immunity to change work. And, certainly both positive intelligence and immunity to change offer insightful approaches to personal growth and transformation, but they differ in their methodologies and their focus. I'd say that, as I've discussed in this podcast, PQ, positive intelligence, really centers on the identification and overcoming our mental saboteurs, and Chamine's approach concentrates on fostering the SAGE perspective, characterized by empathy, creativity, and resilience, to counter negative thought patterns. On the other hand, what Bob and Lisa's book, Robert Keegan and Lisa Leahy's book, Immunity to Change, it delves into the subconscious resistances that hinder our personal and professional growth. And really, it stems that we become immune to change by our hidden commitments and big assumptions that contradict our change goals. So immunity to change makes a process that makes hidden commitments visible, and then we test those assumptions, allowing us to overcome our own internal resistance to change. So in essence, what happens is the positive intelligence focuses on enhancing mental resilience and positivity, and immunity to change targets our subconscious resistance to change. And both are just valuable tools for personal transformation, each offering a unique lens for understanding our internal barriers. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect and appreciate the profound insights garnered from Chamine's positive intelligence. Its implications extend beyond individual growth and can truly revolutionize how we approach leadership, team dynamics, and organizational culture. The power of positive intelligence lies in its applicability. It's not merely a theoretical construct, but a practical toolkit for positive transformation. Let me just summarize a couple of the key takeaways from the book and the broader impacts it can have on our personal and professional lives. Let's continue to cultivate our SAGE mental muscles and conquer our saboteurs, unlocking our full potential and leading us to a more fulfilling and successful life. If we embrace this concept of positive intelligence, just not the theory of it, but in practice, as we strive for continuous growth and development, we may, after all, as Chamine puts it, positive intelligence is the measure of the degree to which your mind is serving you versus sabotaging you. So, I really appreciate you joining this inaugural episode. I'd love to have a strategy call with you on positive intelligence, or on immunity to change, or any of the coaching work that I'm doing. So stay tuned for the next episode, where we will continue our exploration of books that guide us on the path of authentic change. I'm going to do 2 more of these episodes, 2 solo talks, where I hope I can relate to you and position some ideas differently than our guests, whom I love and I'm so grateful to have as part of our show. But until the next episode, this is Mike Horne, thanking you for tuning into Authentic Change. And just remember, the key to change is in your hands.
Thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast. I'm delighted that you've tuned in to listen. Please visit the show notes for links to topics discussed in today's podcast. To download a free ebook on authentic change and leadership and to subscribe to my newsletter, please visit mike-horne.com. Once again, mike-horne.com, mike-horne.com. Once again, thank you for listening to the Authentic Change podcast.